morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Wow, those pieces are breathtaking. Perfect addition, I think. Well, I want to start off with Ralph Waldo Emerson's quote, "People see only what they are prepared to see." Last week when Bettina asked me if I would join with you with the spiritual thought, I was really excited because she gave me a listing of the topics for the month. And I knew it was going to take some time for me to put those together, but it was going to be, I thought it would be really exciting to do. Well, life began to interfere once again. So Angie, it's up to you, my dear, to elucidate. A friend in the hospital, I visited several times, very ill. And I had a dental appointment in Easton that took all day long. Then my son called for some help. His girlfriend's aunt had passed, having lived 50 years in the same home with her husband. Both of them are gone now, but Helene, Timothy's girlfriend, was the executor of the estate, and so they had to empty the house. They had to empty a house that had 50 years of And so they, just the two of them up there in Moraga. I'd never heard of Moraga before, but turns out it's a lovely place. They asked if I could come help. Well, I knew I needed to be back today, and they were going to have the sale yesterday and today. So my husband, with his pickup truck and the trailer, led me partway while I was driving my Gracie, my Subaru. Unfortunately, we ended up being a couple hours later leaving than we should have because we hit the traffic, Friday afternoon traffic. Bay Area, Livermore, all those, and I had not driven those freeways before. We managed to get to Moraga, and it turned out to be, as I say, a lovely place. I was put in charge in the garage of the clothing. So I was a ways away from the other three who were doing their jobs. And I had not done this before, so I was a little nervous, apprehensive. I didn't know the people, and there was an ethnic diversity that I have no problem with. It's just there was a difference, and I wasn't sure I could communicate well with some of the people. But as it turned out, people translated in one thing and another, and it was fine. Had a couple of interesting encounters, one of which I thought for sure I thought for sure someone had taken some items because I'd had to leave to go get more change, come back, and the person was gone along with the items. And I thought, oh, well, lesson learned. And it turned out that I was totally incorrect. The person was in the house doing other shopping. So, I mean, again, I was seeing what I believed to be true. I'm glad that it turned out differently. Then driving home by myself, I was relying on my smartphone, but it's much smarter than I. And how do you hold and drive at 80 miles an hour and trying to get? Anyway, it was a little stressful. Then when I returned home, I made a call to a friend whose husband, I've known him ever since I've been here, over 40 years, was very ill, and so I just called to tell her I was thinking of her, and he had been put on hospice. And then it wasn't a few minutes later, I had a text from a mutual friend saying he had passed earlier in the afternoon. Well, I lost my dog last week and a half ago, my pet of a long time, since she was a puppy, so that was the straw. We've all known the loss is here, and then it just was compounded, and I was tired, stressed from the driving and so on, and I was just feeling very, very sorry for myself, a blubbering mess. And I had a call from a friend very supportive friend who said, who owns the problem? Who owns the problem? And I realized that I was going into victimhood, and that's not what I normally do to handle issues. But I needed to hear that. And then I read, Ernest Holmes had said in the Science of Mind text, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. And I needed to read that as well. And I know being a victim is giving up the support that we have always available to us. It's always there. Giving up what we know to be true is not taking responsibility for our responses. So that is a thought I'd like to leave with you as you go into this new week. I guess what I learned most was an answer to the question, what is it that I really need to learn? Do I really walk my talk? I hope you have a blessed week.